Welcome to episode 16.
Okay, I'd like to start off episode 16 with a couple of introductory questions. And my first one for the commentary team. What's a team that you love playing with, but you just hate playing against?
Mm. So you love playing it, but you don't like playing against it.
Yes.
Wilts, do you want to go first on this one?
Well, I can't say it's something I've particularly struck because I haven't played a huge range of teams. You know that I'm a bit more of a strength player with Orcs and Chaos. I'd even put Snotlings in that same category because it's all about the big guys, more about the little fellas. Uh, but I haven't necessarily struck any specific team I hate playing against except maybe Skaven. Just because they always give you that heart palpitations about how many gutter runners are on the field and where they can get to and what they're going to do to you if the ball ever pops loose. Luckily, the last two games at Cane Toad Cup that I played against Skaven, I managed to get the 2-0 win and a 1-0 win. So that's given me a lot more confidence into the matchup next time, and maybe they're not as big of a bugbear anymore.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go necromantic horror for my answer. I must confess I don't think I've had a lot of game time with the current necromantic horror roster with the wraiths. I'm long in the tooth, so I remember when they had whites on the team. But I do find they are very challenging to play against. They have this very interesting combination of speed and bashing ability that make them a real challenge. And I'm an elf coach at heart, so I like to outrun things. Well, good luck trying to outrun necromantic because you won't. So yeah, and I find those werewolves very, very difficult to contain and control. Yeah, so there you go. I find necromantic horror is a bit of a hoodoo team for me.
Just while you're mentioning werewolves there, is this a good time to remind people about the four W's of fouling?
I'll do it,
Sure.
Wilt.
The four W's of fouling in specific order is number one, werewolves. Number two, war dancers. Number three, witch elves. And number four, whomever else is on the ground.
Good advice. Good advice. I thought number five is Wilts.
Foul against Wilts. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to bring the police into it, not just the tournament organizers, that's a whole different kettle of fish.
All righty. And getting back on track. My one, I think, is actually going to have to be Slan. Like, I mean, everyone knows I love playing Slan, but I love playing Slan because of what it does, and no one can actually kind of really set up to defend against them. Um, and they're just so tricky to defend, to how do you set up against these guys and so on. So, and I've played against Slan a few times, and even though I know what Slan can do, I still can't do it against them because, if the ball's on the ground, a Slan player will just pick it up. So, whilst I love playing with Slan, I have a hard time playing against them, even though I know their tactics.
So is that going to be the secret OP to frustrate Millsy is to bring Slan?
Yeah, please don't. But yes, it will. Oh, I haven't actually played Slan on Slan though, so that might be a different story. I've never had a Slan mirror match.
Oh, that
Really?
could be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually listening to another podcast that said that there are at least six Slan teams turning up to the UK Teams Championship coming up soon in the UK. So yeah, Slan are making a
Oh,
comeback.
go you good things. Okay, you listening, GW?
Hey, I wanna ask my own introductory question. So can we go for a double header? Have a second introductory question?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, I want to ask you about this. Okay, imagine and you can define the parameters of this question, right? So I'm saying that you are in a situation where you've got to defend for two turns, right? You're kicking to a dash team, and you're trying to stop a two-turn score by them, right? So you've got one turn of your own, and they've got two turns. How do you set up to prevent the two-turn score? As I said, you can choose which team it is that you're playing and which team you're playing against, but it's a dash team, right? So it's definitely a team with speed. What kinds of strategies do you employ in your setup to prevent the two-turn score? Let's start with Millsy.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Um, Ideally, I suppose, if I get to set my own parameters, I'd like to have my team have a couple of frenzy players on there. Um, and I think I'd kind of, set up a little bit in the wide zones and it probably weaker in the middle, and then just give them a one place to come through. So if they want to come through the middle, then I can bring both of my wide zones in, or if they choose one side, that I'm already over there, and the frenzy is really just to push them back twice to make that that two turner a bit harder because a lot of the times you'll move yourself up to a position where you only have to do one go for it or maybe two at the end. But if I can get that frenzy player to just push them back twice, just to sort of make it impossible, that's other than that, hopefully I never get to that and I've outbashed them before we got there.
What about you, Wilts?
Well, Millsy t was touching on the defend the flanks, force them to go center, which is definitely one option. The other option I've seen a lot of people do is deploy strong in the center, force them to pick one side or the other as an edge, and then just absolutely swamp that edge. Because if you're deployed more centrally, most teams can have enough movement to get to either sideline from there. My more glib answer is just roll the blitz on the kickoff, and it's not an issue anymore. You can just destroy them.
Yeah, or roll time out and give them an extra turn.
Yeah, were you talking to Dimitri? He got a blitz on me in the last tournament. Yeah.
I actually want to say I probably would side with Millsy and this strategy. And so I actually like the idea of you bulk up your wideouts. So you're trying to shut those down. So if you've got stand firm pieces or sidestep pieces that are just going to get in the way of a sideline run, I would absolutely employ them in the wideouts. The other strategy I really like is if you're playing something like Shambling Undead or a team with two big guys, you stick one in each wide zone just to absolutely shut down that play down the sideline. Now, obviously, if you've got stand firm or sidestep, you do want to be mindful of something like a juggernaut player coming in that can negate that. But I do think that could be a very effective strategy. As Millsy said, it forces people to kind of come up the middle, and you can kind of control the play and crash into the middle if you need to. Just got to watch out that when you do that one turn of defense crash, that you're not setting up things like a chain push scenario where they can chain push somebody back into scoring range. So yeah, that would be my play. Would be you put pieces that are very difficult to maneuver in the wide zone, where they just can't get to you. You just got to be really careful that if they themselves have frenzy pieces, they aren't going to then frenzy those pieces out themselves. And I've even had that happen to me with a vampire team. A hypno gaze dodge through and then chain push a player in, or a frenzy push a player into the sideline. So there's some pretty clever ways to do that. You want to be careful you're not accidentally allowing.
Yeah, fair call, fair call.
All right, here we are, Sunny Coast Slam. This is pre-game one. We've had a great night, Friday night. We had two carloads come down. So, Wilts, why don't we start with you? What time did you get here yesterday?
The rest of us got in nice and early, just after 2 o'clock, and plenty of time to settle in, have a bit of a rest, have a poke around, and then meet up with some of the lads for dinner down at the surf club.
Yeah, who was there? Give us a quick rundown.
Dimitri came along, and Chris Wilcox and Aidan G turned up as well. So it was a good spread of people from all over the place, and good catch up and social drinks before you had some practice sessions with Dimitri afterwards.
Yeah. But before we get to that, Gerbil represent. Who's here? Millsy, fill us in. Who's in our digs?
Who's in our digs? Well, you've got me, you've got yourself. So the two of us drove down yesterday after work. Obviously, we've got Wilts. We've also got Stewie and Zach. They all come down in the first carload.
Yeah, some of us actually took the day off so we could get here early.
And some of us get to finish at 3 o'clock in the arvo, so it's not so bad.
Yeah. Well, I got the 3 o'clock finish. I think Babs got a 12:30 or something, and then drove down.
Yeah,
from
I got
Magnus.
a special deal from my boss, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I'm planning to use that a few times to get to some tourneys. And last night was a vamp off. Vampires versus Vampires, almost a mirror match in terms of roster. Very, very similar. Only difference is the skill on the Vampire Blitzers. So, a bit of rumination on what's the best skills to go. I do feel like my Vampires are suffering a little bit from a lack of block. But that's just the skills pack, and as we've said before, the Ausbowl State Champs and Greenstone Cup rule set, we think is a pretty good roster, pretty good rules pack, pretty balanced. Don't think anything's going to break the meta. It looks pretty good to me. We've now got the released teams. Anybody want to make any comments about the lay of the land for Sunny Coast Slam today?
Apparently there were far too many people demanding blood for the blood god, but that's all I'll say about that one.
Yeah, 4 corn teams. That's a good showing.
Yeah, and there's quite a lot of other teams looking through them last night and going, oh, there's some teams to worry about. And out of the 50 of them, there's probably 40 teams that you look at the roster and go, oh, geez. But as we had a bit of a discussion this morning, Zach and Stewie and I went down for a coffee and we're just having a bit of a chat and saying, look, we don't need to really worry about 40 of those teams because we're only going to face 5. So you only need to worry about your 5 opponents you got across from you. And my roster's pretty set in. It'll be the one I'm taking to Greenstone. And from the practice matches I've had, mainly against Babs' Vampires, but I'm pretty sure I can hold my own, and I'm going to use this weekend as a testing ground to see how they go, and any mistakes that I make are just going to be practice matches for Greenstone.
Yeah.
It was pretty similar to the list you took to Uke Bowl as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, very, very similar. I can get an extra catcher, and I can actually get block on my ogre, whereas at Uke Bowl we couldn't take double, so I had the guard, which will also lend itself to a little bit different play style. Not having that guard now, I have to rely on extra assists and so on when I need the blocks. But yeah, I think I'm good to go, and we'll see how the weekend takes us.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a really interesting tournament for me too, because as you know, I'm trying to get all 30 teams above 150 coach rank, and this is the first tournament where I don't have that kind of goal. It's really just about me refining my roster, ready for the upcoming Ausbowl State Champs. So in one sense, the pressure's a little bit off, and just going to enjoy the games.
Well, as long as you don't drop below 150 with Vamps.
Oh, as if I care.
I don't think there's much chance of that.
All right, well, we will keep you posted about how we go today and tomorrow. And it was great little event last night for the bit that Millsy and I joined, and having a bit of a pre-tournament shenanigans around a pitch and trying some one-turn touchdown strategies and various other bits and bobs. But, yes, I won't tell you the score between Dimitri and I because, I was sad. I got a consolation TD.
Question for the commentary team. So, is top tier Blood Bowl always about the 2-1 grind? Is that where Blood Bowl is going? Is that where all the elite players are going to with their game style, or what do we think?
Yeah, well, certainly we've got data that shows that the most common Blood Bowl result in the NAF tournament data is actually a 2-1 grind. Or at least a 2-1 win. So the data actually says that out of every single NAF result, the very top result is a 2-1 result, and that is almost 200,000 games end in a 2-1 result, closely followed by 2-0, and then 1-0. But by the time you get past those and a 1-1 draw, by the time you get past those results, you're right down the piece. So you're going from 200,000 results of a 2-1. If you include 2-0, 1-0, and 1-1 draws, you're down, at 50,000 results for the next result after that. So it definitely is a very high grouping of these kind of 2-1 kind of results. And I think there's been a school of thought, and I think it's predominantly maybe been championed the most in places like the UK, where it's considered the lowest risk strategy to win is a 2-1 win, where either you're receiving um, early, and you're taking all 6 turns to score, or sorry, all 8 turns to score, then kicking to them, letting them in very quickly, and then doing it all over again for the 2-1 win. Or the opposite way is you kick to them, let them score, then you grind out the rest of the half, and then second half do it all over again because you're receiving. So I think there's this idea that that is somehow the lowest risk way to win, and I want to kind of challenge it a little. I think there are definitely some teams for which it's pretty much a no-brainer, right? Like there are definitely some teams in Blood Bowl that if you're not playing that kind of 2-1 or 2-0 strategy, I don't know what you're aiming for. So Tomb Kings would be the classic, right? Like I don't see many ways for a Tomb King team to do much other than that kind of strategy. I think dwarves have got to be pretty close to that, right? Like it's a rare dwarf team that's going to be shooting for 3 touchdowns in a game.
Yeah, and it's worth noting, like you said, there's almost 200,000, or there's probably over 200,000 by now. Our data's probably about 3 months old. Um, the the key difference I want to make here is not did you get a 2-1 result, which happens quite a lot with myself, and I had I had two of those results at the Sunny Coast Slam. I got a 2-1 result, but it wasn't what I was aiming for. It was just that's all I was able to get. Um, and whilst it might be, the 2-1 grinders might be one of the most effective ways to get a win, I think it's just winning you the match. I don't really think that that's necessarily leading you to win an outright tournament. If you're going through and you're just getting 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, then you're not getting these big touchdowns. You're not getting bonus points if they're in the tournament. So there is a marked difference between going for the 2-1 grind and just coming up with a 2-1 win.
Yeah, and I think I just want to challenge that I don't think that necessarily aiming for a 2-1 is what you want to do with every single type of team. Um, I think there are some teams for whom that strategy is actually downright dangerous. The classic would be vampires, because if you're aiming for that classic 2-1 grind, you're going to have 6 to 8 turn drives. Well, vampires don't survive that well with that kind of length of drive. They run out of rerolls and they run out of thralls. So, I think that's the wrong strategy for that team. And it would not be the only team where I think a 2-1 strategy is actually the wrong play. Pro Elves would be another example where, as we've seen from the casualty data, they're that have the worst touchdown differential. So if you're thinking about hanging around for 8 turns on a drive, well, you're missing all those opportunities to get those KOs out that are inevitably going to turn up. So actually, I think aiming for, a 3-0 win is actually the kind of strategy you want with that kind of team.
Yeah, and the same token, you don't really want to be going, okay, I want to stall out here for 3 turns and leave my armor 8 players to do all the defending, because surely they're going to get whittled down before you go in for that touchdown.
Yeah, what about you, Wilts? Do you ever play for a 2-1, or do you try and have a complete shutout?
Well, I don't know that I necessarily try for a 2-0 or 2-1 win deliberately. There will be times where if I'm playing against a squishy team with Orcs or Chaos, that I will deliberately take all 8 turns in the first half to grind up the field. Um, the second half, if I can get the shutout, then it's awesome. But whether I win 1-0 or 2-0 doesn't really change the outcome as far as I'm concerned. The main thing that decides that's sort of the team that you're up against more than anything else. That was actually one of the reasons that I enjoyed playing Vampires in the league last year, was that it forced me out of that grindy mindset of grinding up and scoring eventually. It's with Vampires, it's very much about, can you score right now? Do it. Can you force the turnover? Do it. Can you go up 3-0 at half time? Awesome. Like I was setting myself the goal of trying to score 5 touchdowns in a game, and I didn't quite get there. I only got to four 2 or 3 times, but I was playing with vampires. I was very much about the opinion of if you can score in 2 turns, you should do it.
And yeah, I think league play is a different kettle of fish. I don't think a 2-1 grind is what people necessarily are going to play their league games for, because obviously every touchdown's SPP, right? But I guess I'm wanting to really push back a little at this mindset of, the 2-1 is where it's at, and the 2-1 is actually what you want to design your game of Blood Bowl around. I want to say, look, you should be a bit more team tailored than that. And I think you almost leave your Blood Bowl experience a little short if that's what you're doing. Now, maybe I'm not the superpower gamer I need to be, and maybe the 2-1 is really the most risk mitigated approach to Blood Bowl. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I can't say I'm a subscriber, and I feel like that approach to Blood Bowl is a little disappointing in terms of the maximum gaming experience. I don't know. Am I out of left field here, Millsy?
No, no, no. It's there might be a lot of people out there that might even be new to hearing this 2-1 grind thing that might actually be doing it themselves and kind of don't even know it. So it comes right from, okay, I'm going to a tournament. Here's my team and here's my skill pack. So sometimes when you're building your roster, the skills that you put on it will determine whether your team will be a 2-1 grind team or not. So, some people might just, load up on certain skills and think, oh yeah, these will be great skills to take. Um, and then it eventuates that you're pretty much only going to get 2-1 grinds out of those teams. So it's worthwhile having a look at what you're wanting to do. And I'm like you guys, I'm whilst I get a lot of 2-1 wins or 2-1 losses, I don't ever play for that. I always try and get, well, if I can get 3-1 or 3-0 or more. I'm always of the opinion of, the more touchdowns, the better. And the quicker I can score them, the quicker chance I've got to get a couple of KO rolls back. And that really leads into my roster design of the skills I take to try and capitalize on that.
I think the other thing I just want to rail against is the one. Like, okay, 2-1, like you're almost allowing a touchdown. Like, I'm just not up for that. I think you fight as hard as you can to shut them out completely. I'm totally a subscriber. Even if I'm playing dwarves, I'm not just going to let you run past me for a touchdown. I mean, I know it leads to that 2-1 scenario, but I'm sorry, but this is a game of football. I'm not going to let you score. And maybe I actually believe personally that's one of the reasons why I am a slow player, right? Is that I don't let my opponent have an easy run of anything if I can help it. I'll make them think and sweat out their die rolls every step of the way. I'm not going to give an easy touchdown in a tournament setting.
No, well, every easy touchdown you get or you allow in, you go, okay, well, I've let them get that and I'm going to come back now. Couple of failed dice rolls on your behalf opens it up, and all of a sudden, the 2-1 win you were going to get turns the opposite way around and they can capitalize. So, like you said, if you can keep them at zero, I'm happy with a 2-0 grind. But yeah, if you can keep them at zero, never let them go in.
Well, but the point is, yeah, the point is the strategy is that because you then want you want them to get a quick score, so then you get another 6 turns or whatever it is to have another drive of your own that's going to be successful. That's part of the 2-1 strategy. And as I don't like it. I think there's, I don't know, maybe even better ways to play. Is that too? Am I just head in the clouds and got no idea?
I don't know, but I'm always going to play for the shutout if I can, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be reality. If it ever gets to the point where I can't stop them from scoring, I'm definitely going to make it so that if they don't score, I'm going to punish them for it. So it's not necessarily something I'm aiming for, but it's definitely something that can happen by accident almost.
Yeah, and I just think, obviously the danger of what I'm saying is if you are a team like Dwarves or Tomb Kings, and you are fighting them every inch of the way, if they don't score until turn 6 or turn 7 of a half, you're effectively you've lost the game because the ability of your team to score in 2 turns is very low. So that's the downside of the strategy. So I do understand that, but I don't know. I'm just not a subscriber to letting a quick touchdown in response.
Well, the other thing you might do is, depending who you're playing, if you're playing a goblin team that's got a couple of secret weapons on there that they've forced to put on for the second drive, like, yeah, I'm quite happy to let them go through and score quicker and kick their own players off. So there might be certain times when that's a thing, and then obviously, if you're playing goblins and they don't have the secret weapons on, you can fairly easily climb over the top of them, depending on what team you're playing, obviously. But you've got a much better chance of whittling them down and making your next touchdown a bit easier.
How do we cut from 2-1 grinds?
Well, you could say on the subject of 2-1 grinds, we expect to see a few of them at the Ozpol State Championships.
Yeah, 100% we do. And yeah, I
What's
just
the
think
easiest way to do it? With a great big crocodile on your team. Oh, speaking of great big crocodiles.
yeah, we've actually commissioned Ivan Ugnachev, aka Ugni Miniatures, to design a big guy to represent the Queensland team mascot, who's Death Roll, the saltwater crocodile, or Salty. Yeah, so Death Roll he's the mascot for the Death Rollers, and he is a Croxigore, Croc Sigor, Croxigore. And so, yeah, we've got a miniature. We'll put pictures of the miniature up on the Down Underworld Denizens Facebook group. If you're not already a member of that group, please come and join. We want to ask you a question. What stats should he have? We've got a couple of Croxigore stats already. We've got both the regular Croxigore that plays for Lizards, and of course, we've got the unofficial Croxigore that plays for Slan, which is the same.
That's
Well,
a Croxigore.
Croxigore, yeah, and of course there is also Glottal Stop, the star player Croxigore. So Death Roll, he's a Croxigore with as in crocodile Sigor, and we want you to help design his stats. If he was a star player, what would he be? What would he have? So yeah, we want to make that little competition, and if you win that competition, you can get that miniature for yourself. We will give you a free copy of Death Roll, the saltwater crocodile, to play on your own team. So yeah, why don't you jump on the Facebook, put up your suggestions of what his stats should be. Death Roll, yeah. And we're going to make sure that everybody who plays the Queensland team at Ozpol State Championships, we're going to gift them a Death Roll. So he will be a gift from Queensland to the other state teams and North Island and South Island and ACT teams.
Yeah, fantastic. And whilst you're on there designing those, don't just give us the stats. If you really want to stand out, play into it. He is a crocodile. Maybe use some of those for his skills. And a backstory never hurt. Yeah, we love reading all of the entry you guys have had to our other competitions. So yeah, get your thinking caps on. And what would Death Roll be if you had to make him a star player?
Yeah, we love that. Hey, just while we're on tournaments, just can I just talk a little bit of news globally, but also a little local or semi-local plug. So
Yeah.
globally, announced as of today is a Moracle Cup. This is the teams tournament in America, has sold out at 336 coaches. That is
Wow.
big numbers, right? That's fantastic. Shows how great a state of Blood Bowl is in. And I believe Euro Bowl has over 900 coaches attending now. So these are massive numbers. These are fantastic. So that's just fantastic. Really, real credit to the Oracle Cup guys running it in June next year in Detroit in the US. Yeah, just lovely to see such an amazing tournament, teams tournament. I'm looking forward to running my own teams tournament, the Tournament of Champions, in sometime next year. But I wanted to also just promote another tournament, and the theme of episode 16 is about the value of going on a road trip for the Blood Bowl tournament. And I want to promote one. I want to promote a road trip to you. Now, if you are listening to this podcast and you are in Coffs Harbour, or you are in Newcastle, or you are in Sydney, there's a road trip waiting to happen because there is a 1 day tournament in Port Macquarie, the Seaside Slaughter. This is their first ever tournament. Now, Port Macquarie have had a league for a very long time. Shout out to Selwyn Peake. I think his NAF name from memory is Easy Kicker. He has been around the NAF a very long time. He's been attending CanCons and tournaments a long, long time. He's still involved in the league in Port Macquarie. And Seaside Slaughter is a Blood Bowl tournament, and it's deliberately a 1 dayer. Now, road tripping that far afield for a 1 dayer is rare. It does happen, but it's rare. But obviously, Port Macquarie, bit of a tourist destination, and this tournament is in November, so a great time of year to get up for a bit of a family getaway. So bring the family. You only have to miss 1 day, and enjoy that tournament. Saturday, 1st of November. $30 entry, and we'd love to see some guys make the trek from further afield than just the local guys at Port Macquarie. So get out there. They've got some great sponsors lined up. They've got Young's Customs, Tats Tabletop, Jester Prince, Ostdorf Collectors Consortium, Empire Games, Port Trophies. The resort that the event is held is the Water's Edge Comfort Resort, and Cameron Rodwell. So heaps of sponsors, and they've had some really great support from people like Rabbit and George Christodoulou, who have both just really helped these guys with their first tournament.
Yeah, so what's better than a weekend away up the in sunny Port Macquarie? Got some beautiful beaches there, and I think Port Macquarie's greatest claim to fame is its birthplace of one of the greatest podcasters ever, none other than yours truly. So please don't let anyone know that I was born in New South Wales. I am a Queenslander. Yeah, kind of spewing I can't make it down for that. That'd be a nice one.
It is a lovely venue. I went to Port Macquarie for my honeymoon as part of it. So yeah, a lovely part of the world. Yeah, yep, fantastic. So yeah, have a good hard think. See if you can get there. It'd be fantastic to see.
And
Any,
we'd love to hear your stories about it too.
yeah, well, particularly the road trip, right? Because that's what this episode is about, is the Blood Bowl road trip. And in breaking news, Wilts and I are planning a road trip in 2 weeks. Woot woot.
From time of recording.
Yeah, that's it. Death Row 11s, we're going. That's it.
And we're going to hear more about it later, or you want to fill us in a bit more now?
Well, I mean, I think the one thing I want to emphasize is just how awesome my boss is, right? Like, I mentioned this to Millsy earlier today, but the point is that I went to my boss today and I said, hey, boss, I'm thinking about driving all the way up to Townsville in a couple of weeks' time, and I want to get away from work a bit early. Would that be okay if I do? And he said, mate, take the day off. I'll pay you for it. You won't even have to put leave in. Off you go. So that's how good my boss is, right? He totally gets it. He wants to support my hobbies and wants to see me a happy employee. And when I need a favor, he just comes to the party. It's just brilliant. So if you want to know why I drive 3 hours a day to work where I work, that's the answer. That's why. It's because my boss is freaking awesome.
Well, 3 hours round trip, not 3 hours each way.
No, 3 hours round trip, but still, that's why we got into podcasting. Is I was listening to a bunch of podcasts on the road trip.
Yeah. And Babs is a happy little camper. He mentioned that he might have let me know about it. It was through like 14 texts and then a phone call for 5 minutes after school had finished. I'm going to Townsville. My boss is awesome. He gave me the time off. So I think it just makes you guys can leave a little bit earlier and not be pushed for time, and
Yeah.
have an awesome trip up there, guys. Really spewing on. I've actually got a family gathering. I've got one of my aunties is turning 90, so going to be
That's a
making
good
a bit
effort.
of a bit of a family reunion. So On that side of the family, I think my mum was one of 8 or 9 children, as they were back in the day. So there's lots of aunties and uncles and cousins, some of which I've never even met. So it's going to be good to catch up. But I will be thinking of you guys playing, rolling some dice up there in Townsville.
And we won't be the only ones heading from further south up north. I've heard there's a couple of from the southeast corner making the trek to Townsville too, so that'll be great.
Yeah, they a couple of guys from the Queensland team is what I hear.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, and we are here live in our digs at the end of the first day of the Sunny Coast Slam. We've got a new recruit with us. We've got Renton here today. Renton, how did you go today at the Sunny Coast Slam?
Oh, hi mate. Look, I did okay. I had 2 wins and a loss at the end there, but I'm quite happy with that. It's a good day in the job for me.
Yeah, what are you running?
I'm running Lizardman. I've been doing Lizards. I've done 3 tournaments ever. This is my 3rd tournament this year and ever. And I've run Lizards for all of them because they just make sense.
It's a bit of a different change of pace compared to the Brisbane City Bash, mate, where you came first place for that one.
Yeah.
What's the difference in the atmosphere and in this level of competition?
Well, more numbers, bigger, like it's a higher number of people. The atmosphere is good here. The Brisbane Bash is a long way back in my memory now, but it's good. Good people, good fun, good place. I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And currently sitting, we edit this bit.
We'll edit this bit. So, well, while we're there, Babs, how have you gone today?
Yeah, look, I managed to play Troy Reeves or TJ for round 1. So yeah, Corn first game, and I thought, okay, this should be all right. I think I can handle Corn. And first half, sure enough, 2-0 up by half time, but he had a lot of mighty blow, and it was starting to pay dividends. And by about turn 3 of the second half, it was more like I have the ball and I'm running away and I'm hiding over here, and now I'm running over here and I'm hiding over here, and it was literally just stalling out the 2-1 win. And then Pete crashed into Pete Sinclair, and he schooled me, actually. I did make a mistake in his drive about turn 5, and that basically gave him the 1-all. Then I was trying to defend against his Amazons, and he got me 2-1. So, it was a good game. Lots of scrambling. Could have gone either way. But and then game 3, I played Original Pookie, a.k.a. Sarah Gibbs. Always a lot of fun. Really enjoy playing the Gibbses. And, got another win. So, I'm also 201. But, the Ausbol State Champs team are mostly above me. So I'm sitting 14th at the moment. And, 3 of the 6 are above me and 2 of the 6 are below me.
There you go. And we'll just recap my games. I had an absolute shocker. I had Aiden G in the first round. I'm not sure whether I had a shocker. I think I played really well. His dice were on absolute fire. He got 4 KAs and 3 KOs in the first half, which just decimated my team. I wasn't able to come back, and second half started a little bit different. I got the ball, and I think I just got a bit over exuberant and didn't cage or screen myself really well. So rather than getting the 1-0 draw, he was able to get the ball back and go in 2-0. I was pretty sunken after that, and then I come up against the Queensland captains, Chris Strady, in round 2. We played in the pouring rain, and all I can say is you won't pick up the ball on a 2+ anyway, and in the rain you need a 4+, and I don't know how many times Strady failed, I failed, Strady failed, I failed. It was just a fail fest, but I did end up getting the 1-0 over him in the end, so beat the Queensland captain, bit of feather in my cap, pretty happy with that. Then bumped up to table 10, I had Byron Lowry. He had Old World Alliance, and managed to eke out a a 2-1 win there in the end, proving that my game with the Humans is still on par, and I can just sort of chalk up Aidan G's win to dice. No, I'm not going to take it away. He did play well, but his dice definitely contributed. So I've finished the day, I believe. Wilts has got it.
Ninth.
I'm in 9th place. I think I'm the highest placed gerbil at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's true.
League.
Yep. Renton's not far behind you on 11th.
There you go. Renton's on 11.
There you go. Happy with that?
Yeah,
Day
got to be
one?
happy with that. There's 48 coaches, I believe, so the biggest Sunny Coast Slam. Wilts, you've had a day as well. How'd you go?
My original plan of submarining to victory didn't quite pull out all the stops. It was difficult to try and equalise in the first round, which could have been a draw, maybe should have been a draw, but when your dice just don't want you to succeed on a basic task, then you just can't really complete on that score. Managed to get a tight close win in the second game, and apparently my dice felt sorry for me in the third game, and they overperformed a bit in round 3. And going for zero injuries inflicted in first 2 games to going 4 injuries and 3 casualties, 3 KOs before half time. I mean, it's gratifying in some ways, but it's also not as much fun because it's not as tight of a game, and you don't really feel like it's on the line every single roll. So I'd much rather have a fun game and a good game, but obviously it's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah, so as we currently sit at the end of day 1 after 3 games, there are 3 teams currently undefeated on 3 wins, and 2 of them are Ausbol State champ teams. And also of note is out of us Central Queenslanders, we're all in the top 16 except for Stewie, so that's pretty good going by and large, and Stewie himself had some pretty impressive results himself.
He had an absolute blinder against Dimitri. So Dimitri is just one of those guys that I say he can see the matrix when he's playing the game, because it must be just zeros and ones. He can absolutely identify every play, and he can talk you through, and he often does when he's talking through what he's going to do. So Stewie to get the draw against Dimitri, and Dimitri's playing Vampires, which are a very tough team, which I struggle against all the time. So
not only did he crash into Dimitri, but he also had Jason Morn and also got a draw. So
got a draw against Jason
so,
Morn.
Got beaten, did he? Yeah, right.
But Jason Morn's he's playing Amazons, and he's one of
no
those
slouch
top players.
on the Ausbol State champs team.
Yeah, there you go. So what's your realistic goals for tomorrow? I've had 2 wins and a loss. I'd ideally like at least 1 more win. I would like to go tomorrow without 2 losses. So if I got a draw in there somewhere, I'd be happy with that. What's everyone else's goal? Renton.
Oh, look, I'm happy with 2 wins at the moment. Like, takes the pressure off. Like, my fear is coming to these things and just getting pantsed for the whole time. So, but yeah, obviously another win would be great. 3 out of 5 would be marvellous.
Yeah, look, for me, it's about getting my head into the game I need for Ausbol State champs. So it's about playing the team the way I want to play it. I still have issues I need to iron out, one of which is just my time management. And I don't mean in-game, I mean as a coach. I'm still getting to turn 6 of the second half and not having enough time on the clock, so I still need to get better in that place. But the more games with Vampires, the better that gets. So, and I'm still fiddling around with roster options, and I know I'm not alone. One of our undefeated coaches was chatting to me about he's reconsidering his team a little bit after 3 games, even though he's got 3 wins. So, we're all kind of just refining our rosters. It's been really helpful. I think it's been really helpful. What about you, Wilts?
I'm just going to stick with the basics. I'm going to try and score at least 1 touchdown every game and try and shut out if possible on the other side. Obviously, that's not always achievable, but it's a goal that I try and strive for most games. It's a bit of a big turnaround today, coming back from Cairns on a victory lap. In Cairns, I've scored in every single half of football except for 1 game, and I'm only halfway there on the tournament so far today. So I've got some more work to do to prove to myself that it's not just a once and done, but there's just some basic stuff I need to get a bit more practice in.
and roll some dice and have some fun.
Yeah, and we had a nice announcement at the end of today. At the end of the day, we had a little ceremony where those people heading over to Auckland in September, we managed to get our kit. So that's pretty cool. That not just the actual team, but everybody attending both Greenstone and the Ausbol State Champs got their got something to rock up with wearing. So that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, and the words of inspiration from you, Babs, was it won't go amiss. A lot of people were sitting there or standing there, listening to your wise words about representing Queensland and what it means to us to be a Queenslander and represent the uniform that we were presented with this afternoon. I was very proud to, whilst I'm not on the team, I'm still representing. Maybe whether it's a hanger-on or whatever, but I'm still one of the Queensland crew that's representing the state of Queensland, and hopefully we do ourselves and our state proud over at ASC.
Can I just say the hoodie looks really cool? I didn't get one, not part of the team, but I'm very jealous. It looks cool.
Nice.
Well, there's ASC in 2028 or whenever it comes, Renton. So I'm sure you're of the calibre to make the team.
Too generous.
Well, you've only had 3 tournaments, and you're up there on the results. So don't sell yourself short. And this time, in a couple of years' time, you could be wearing the same jersey.
And look, you're a great addition to the Blood Bowl scene here in Queensland. I will say that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to say that it's also showing the depth of talent that we have in Queensland, which hasn't necessarily been explored or discovered as much as some other states have. New South Wales, Victoria, obviously always the front runners, because they've got so many events and so many people playing. And in Queensland, we're still finding new talent every event that comes out, and people that might not have played in a big tournament before, but are definitely capable of the big results.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on Down Underworld Denizens. I might get you to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself. Obviously, you're, I would say, the anchor man of Players to Nuffle, a US-based podcast. What else would you like to say about yourself to the listeners of Down Underworld Denizens before we jump into our formal questions?
Hi, my name's Matthew. I'm known as Mystic Force around the internet and in the Blood Bowl world. I'm originally from England, but now I live in the United States. I've been playing Blood Bowl since about 1994 when the 3rd edition came out. So I can't say I've been playing it well. But yeah, I've been doing this quite a while on and off.
Well, it's perfect if you've been doing it for a while. Do you know how long ago it was you got into it? And probably more importantly, what prompted you to get into Blood Bowl?
It was 1994, and what prompted me to get into Blood Bowl was that I was bad at painting. So I got into playing Warhammer Fantasy back when I was like about 16, and bought the paints, bought the box set, and attempted to paint them, and they looked nothing like the heavy metal painters. In fact, I was terrible at it. And the prospect of painting hundreds of high elves and orcs and making them look terrible was like kind of bumming me out a little bit. So then they released Blood Bowl, and it's like, well, now I only need like to paint 16 people, and I can pick something else. And so I picked up a undead Blood Bowl team, and painting skeletons is way easier than painting other things. So that's literally how I picked it up after reading White Dwarf and going, this looks like it'll be easier to paint just a few of these.
Fantastic. And so you mentioned Undead was your first team. Is it your favourite, or do you have another favourite team that you like to play nowadays?
My favourite team is High Elves. It's always been my team that I've liked to play. They've not necessarily been the best team to play for many years. And at the beginning, let's be honest, before we had the internet as prevalent as it was these days, the only way you figured out what was going on was by playing against your friends who were each equally clueless, and what it said in White Dwarf, which was probably incorrect. But I've always loved the High Elves because it was my Warhammer army. So yeah, that's my team. And even if they haven't been the best team to play, it's still my team.
Alrighty. Tell us, do you prefer playing in a league, or do you prefer attending a tournament?
Well, they scratch different itches. The thing about a league is often I've been the one who has to organize it, and it requires a dedication from a group of people over a sustained period of time, which I think is its biggest problem, because you'll get people drop in and out, and new people start and all enthusiastic. And so, for the simplicity of just turning up to a tournament and someone set it all up, and you just get to play that day, and that's it. I think I prefer tournaments right now, simply because it's less logistically difficult to do.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, speaking of leagues or tournaments or Blood Bowl in general, if you had a chance, is there a rule that you would change or a team you'd add or drop out? What would you change in Blood Bowl if they came to you and said, you've got one thing to do, Matt? What would you do?
I'd first of all tell them to ask someone else who knows more than me. But secondly, I'd do something to make passing a more viable part of the game. Back when I first played it, and we had no clue really what we were doing, we would pass and score as quickly as possible, because that's what we thought we had to do. And it was only later I learned this is a terrible way to play this game. So something that makes that a more viable option. But as to how, no one's ever managed to figure out how to fix passing. So there we go.
Okay. So would you do you have a favorite star player that you play the game with, or is there a model in particular that you just think to you is the pinnacle of Blood Bowl models?
Not so much. I've never really had a favorite star player. I've always kind of felt that star players are a bit cheaty, and so it doesn't sit well with my British sense of fair play. I can't say I really have a favorite star player. As for the models, I'll never forget the old chicken on the head Griff. I still have one of those.
Everyone's got a chicken griff, yeah.
Well, actually, I painted it up for one of the guys we were actually playing at Eucalyptus Bowl with the other week. I actually painted up his old 3rd edition griff, and rather than painting it as a chicken, I painted it up as a phoenix on his head, and it actually came out really nicely. It actually worked really well because it's got that big long ribbon at the back. Yeah, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so imagine for a moment that we travel all the way over to the States to join you. I don't know, maybe we're attending a tournament together or something, and we all go out to the pub. What would be your pick of the menu board? What is your favourite pub meal? It can be either a US dish or a UK dish. We don't mind.
All right. Number one, you won't find a traditional kind of pub-like place to go eat. They're all chain restaurants with the same food. So the place I would go is I would pick an English pub, and I would have curry on chips.
Speaking of us potentially traveling over there for a pub meal with you, that's what we want to sort of discuss in this episode, is about the travels in Blood Bowl and what that entails. Here in Queensland, for the majority of us, traveling is just to events in our state. What's traveling like for you over in the States?
Lots of driving, chiefly. We don't have such a thing as public transport, so you are driving. And I've lived in mostly the middle parts of the country. So here, everything is measured in hours rather than miles or kilometers. So typically, the nearest town big enough to have a Blood Bowl event is probably 2 hours away, right? So unless you're hosting an event yourself, you're traveling an hour and a half, 2 hours at minimum to get to a tournament. I'm willing to travel up to 4 hours to get to a tournament on the same day. If it's more than 4 hours, I'd probably stay overnight. Also, because of the density of events and the distances involved, you typically can't really be picky about rule sets. You're either going because you're available that day or you're not, because otherwise you'll be waiting a long time for another event. Although what seems to happen is that when one person organizes, 3 come along in like the next few weeks. And then there's a big gap. But typically, yeah, driving. It's nice if you find someone to drive along with. The furthest I've driven for a tournament was probably New Orleans, which was like 10 hours when there's a road trip. But regularly we go to the Chaos Cup, which is the big US major. Used to be in Chicago, now is in Orlando, Florida. Ironically, I'm in the halfway point on the direct route between those two. So it didn't make much difference to me which location it is. It's the same amount of driving. It's about 9 hours. So for me, moving made absolutely zero difference. But for everyone else, I'm going to say that it would have made a difference. And so you get a different group of people turning up in Florida than you did Chicago necessarily because of the driving range that people could do.
So just for our listeners, where exactly are you located?
I am located in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is in the southeast portion of the country, kind of about not quite halfway up from the bottom. So,
and where's the furthest you've travelled for a tournament?
Furthest I've travelled is to Spain to the World Cup in 23.
Okay, and I presume you didn't drive then.
I did not drive, no, nor did I swim. I took a plane. Being that I'm English, I used this as an opportunity to go back to England and go see my family, as well as taking in some Blood Bowl in Spain.
Okay, so typically though, do you usually drive for a tournament?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the United States, on the whole, is not a conducive to doing anything other than driving. Even just to get to my local game store, there isn't even a sidewalk or a pavement to use to get there. So, but it's a 5-minute drive away. I could walk there, I guess, if I don't mind getting run over, and take about 45 minutes.
What about air travel? Is that a thing in the US to go to different states, or is it just predominantly?
You'll get that for people who will travel around, who are the more enthusiastic, I guess. I have met several people who have come to events that will fly out to them. So for the Chaos Cup, yeah, people will fly out to the big one. For other smaller events, yeah, you'll get people who fly out to something important or special. It's one of their friends, or there are various people who just try to get to like every state to go play. Those people fly, but I would say there are a few, because like that's quite a big commitment, right, in terms of cost and time and whatever. So I've only flown once to a tournament in the US, which is when I went to the Chaos Cup when I was living in a different part of the country. So.
Okay. What about have you flown for other international tournaments or just the World Cup?
I have not. No, not yet. Thrud Bowl is definitely on my list of places to get to, and I want to do that one year when I have enough vacation.
Yeah, sure.
So that would be me going home though. So yeah.
Yeah, well, and speaking of those bigger ones where you've said you've been to Spain and then you went to England, do you kind of turn your Blood Bowl vacation into a family vacation at the same time, or is it just fly in, fly out?
That was the times it's only been to Spain where I've been. Thrud Bowl is one I would like to do. That was a family vacation. The attraction to going with my wife is like, you get to go to Spain. My wife speaks Spanish, so she's fine with going to Spain. So she was rooting for, where was it? We had in the last one, I think my wife wanted, she didn't want Dallas because that wouldn't be much of an adventure because we've been to Dallas enough times. But Malta's pretty good. So yeah, my wife was rooting for her choice for where she'd like to go visit. So definitely it's a family trip to go to across the sea anyway. So.
Yeah, my missus thinks this Blood Bowl is just this nerdy game pushing plastic men around, but she was all on board when I said the World Cup's in Malta and do you want to come?
Well, see, all it requires is a nice trip somewhere, and you're paying, and then they're up for it, right? So
just on goals, like if you're making a big trip, if you're not necessarily flying to another country, but if you're going on a you said 4 hours is about your limit to travel to and back in the same day, or the day of the tournament. What kind of goals do you set for yourself, or what kind of purposes do you have for yourself to commit to that kind of travel?
Well, I'd like not to come back with a losing record, and I consider a losing record is I lost more games than I won or draw. So if I come away with more wins and draws than losses, that's pretty cool. Other than that, just to turn up and see the same people again normally, and hang out. I don't know. I'm not really good enough to have goals. I just want to turn up and not humiliate myself.
That's a goal in
That's
and
a
of
goal in
itself,
itself. We all do.
I will say that the challenge I always get, especially if you go to a 2-day tournament, is that by the end, I try to be a friendly person to play against, but by game 5 or 6, it started to wear on me, and I'm like, wow, I played a stupid game, and I'm going to apologize to anyone I play at that point that I'm not the best opponent in that, mostly because I'm just blood bowled out and just can't wait to get out of there.
Sounds fair.
Speaking of that, so you get to game five, you're a bit rattled and so on. So if you're traveling, like you said, maybe more than the 4 hours, and you're going to do a stay overnight sort of thing, do you need downtime after it before you travel home, or is it just tournament's finished, let's jump in the car and head off?
Oh, I'm a crazy long distance driver. So when I say 4 hours in a day, that's 4 hours each way. We do lots of really crazy long distance driving. So yeah, after the Chaos Cup gets finished, last game, I'm not winning a trophy. I'll just jump in the car and just drive straight home, like 9 hours, be home at like 2 in the morning or whatever. But that's kind of typical. Like we've done that. We do that a lot. We do a lot of long distance driving. So that's not a problem for me. Yeah, just
Sounds very similar to what we are here in central Queensland. I mean, our nearest capital city is Brisbane, which is for the guys up in Rockhampton, it's like a 7 hour drive, and we regularly do that all the time. And finish the tournament, jump in the car and drive home, and these guys will get home at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So, from what I'm hearing from you, the scene is very similar to what we have here in Queensland and in Australia.
yeah, it sounds kind of the same. You've got a dispersed population and a fairly large area to cover, right? So pretty much the way it is here. So we've got a lot of different options where we're located. We've got about 5 places with substantial populations and people who play Blood Bowl around us, about 2 hours away. So from where I am now, I've lived in other parts of the country where it was a bit more spread out, or we had to go a bit further. But I wasn't playing tournaments much then, and there wasn't really much going on down here when I first arrived. There's a lot more now. So I could travel to Atlanta and Knoxville. Nashville hasn't got anything much, but I've got some good friends who are also on my podcast with me from Huntsville. These are all about 2 hour drive away.
Yeah, fantastic. So you've mentioned a mate, so and that's what we love here in Queensland is, jumping in the car with your mates and going down. Is there any must-haves like for a road trip? Do you have to stop at a certain food chain, or do you have to have a certain music, or what's your must-have for going on a road trip?
I'm like the most easygoing person with demands, so I need literally nothing. And if you offer me anything, that will be fine. So I never have to pick anything, right? So ooh, we have some back. Hey, stop.
It's Wilhelm Chaney in the background, folks.
Yeah, Wilhelm. He just saw a tree man.
Sorry, I thought it was Acorn.
Well, that's a Chihuahua, so that might be more Acorn than Wilhelm.
Now I've got another question. Now, like I said, everything you've been talking to sounds exactly like here in Queensland. And when we road trip, we've got this special character that we bring along with us all the time. And this character needs to stop for rest breaks all the time. Now, we call this character Babs. Do you have a similar person in your road trip?
Either I have the world's smallest bladder or I have prostate cancer. One of the two.
Well, typically I mostly drive by myself, so no, I've been known to go 7 hours without getting out of a car before. So,
yep. So do you normally travel with other people? Like, do you mentioned you were kind of, on the road from New Orleans. Does some of the guys who you talk to on Players to Nuffle, join up at some point with you to go on a road trip, or is it?
So we've done it once where I drove down to Huntsville. Actually, a guy from Knoxville came down, picked me up, and then we drove down to Huntsville and then kind of accumulated people on our way. But I've only done that once. Typically, I just drive by myself. I'll put on a few podcasts to listen to, or
Yeah, that sounds exactly like me. I'm a podcast guy. And most of our road trips, I'm probably the closest to Brisbane, so the guys from Rockhampton will travel down to about an hour or so, pick up Babs or a couple of the guys from Gladstone, and that's a couple of hours down to here and pick it up. So we have this sort of chain of events that occurs with me getting picked up last, but then I'm getting dropped off first, and they have another couple of hours to go. And haven't discussed it on here, but doing our just our league grounds. I'll travel up to Gladstone, which is 2.5 hours, and it's just for me. Distance is nothing. I just jump in the car, alone in my thoughts, or whack the podcast on, and I'm okay to do that. Like, there's not a lot of people that like travel, but for me, It doesn't seem to bother me.
I'm going to
Yeah.
say the big thing that helps driving long distance is on the car having lane keeping assist. You just press the button and it follows the road for you, so you don't have to think about steering. It's awesome. That makes driving a long distance really easy. It's amazing how much mental load that takes off you not having to keep it between the lines.
Wow, that must be some pretty seriously strong lane assist. I wouldn't want to take my hands off the wheel with lane assist.
I know you leave your hands on the wheel, but it just you don't have to make those little minor adjustments to make it go in a straight line.
Yeah,
It's
okay,
amazing.
okay.
But you got to remember, Babs, he doesn't have kangaroos and roadkill jumping out at him all the time, does he?
Deer is the problem around here.
Oh,
You don't want to hit one of those. They will destroy your car, even an American overbuilt one.
Yeah, I have those on the way to work too, actually. Hey, I don't recommend that you do exactly what you guys both seem to do, which is like leave a tournament and drive ridiculously long hours until you eventually get home. I think Millsy might hold that record. I certainly don't recommend that to our listeners. Please don't do that. But Matthew, do you have something that you do recommend? Like if you are planning a road trip for Blood Bowl, what advice could you give our listeners?
Check the map before you go. Have a rough idea of where you're going, just in case you run into any problems along the way. I guess people younger than me don't know how to use a map, because one of my younger colleagues at work asked me, "How did you get anywhere before we had like phones which told you where to go?" It's like, "Well, you look at a map." And they're like, "Really?" It's like, "Yeah." I don't know. Sometimes just having a rough idea of where you're going to, because I would say that the following the phone on GPS, sometimes you end up getting in the wrong lane. So having an idea where you're going first is often helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just want to say, to if there's people listening from the US, that yeah, definitely we have something in common in terms of our Blood Bowl journeys. So yeah, we kind of kindred spirits, I guess, that we don't mind a good long road trip to get to a Blood Bowl event that we deem worth our travel time and the expenses that go along with that. And as you say, once you get to a certain distance, like for Millsy and I, if we're heading down to the southeast corner of Brisbane or Gold Coast or Sunny Coast, well, there's definitely accommodation cost required for that. You can't run to and from. Yeah, but if it ticks those boxes, then it's definitely something that we do regularly. We do it multiple times a year. So yeah.
Yeah, and I've never really had a problem with driving long distance, so I kind of enjoy being in the car by myself and just chilling out. But then again, I'm slightly crazy. But hey.
I think we all fit into that category at some point. All gamers I've met, we've all got some little quirk, and some of us like to travel. Some of us, I don't know, like to have different colored dice when they roll. We've all got some quirk to us.
Please explain the dice thing to me, because lots of people are obsessed with dice, and I don't get it.
Oh, well, dice is easy. If you're rolling two of them, they have to be the same color and of the same brand. And if you do anything else, you're just a monster. Don't do it in front of me because it freaks me out.
No, but I think what Matthew's saying is, what is it with collecting dice? Is that what you're
Yeah,
alluding to?
yeah. There's some people who are very obsessed with it, and I don't get it.
Yeah, and I think the point is it's just a memento from the event. So I think people like to collect them just as kind of a memory that this is something they don't necessarily want to actually use them in games of Blood Bowl. They build like a little board to put all their dice in that they can hang on the wall, and they just use the dice as a kind of a memory to jog their memory of the event and the tournament that they had there. I think maybe other people have different purposes, but
I also like coming back from a tournament and playing my first league game with a set of dice that I might have got at the last tournament. And it just creates that little bit of a conversation topic. Oh, where'd you get these? Oh, that was at this tournament. And hopefully it sort of will get my league mates to maybe want to do a tournament. And, there's another road trip buddy in the future as well.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think that there is something pretty adjacent to Blood Bowl, which is just, collecting things. People like to collect pins and patches and tokens and miniatures, right? So they all kind of fit in the same category. And I guess dice is just another thing to collect. So some people just like collecting. And look, I have to say, I wouldn't mind if somebody said, "Oh, I've got these dice from such and such a famous Blood Bowl event." They have some value because of the tournament that they've come from.
I have a big bag of dice and I never look at them. So anyway.
Yeah, I've never gone down that tunnel of collecting dice particularly. I mean, I don't mind some dice, but it's not something I've intentionally gone out to collect myself. I'm much more of a miniature collection man myself. All right. Any final words that you've got to share with our listeners, Matthew, about traveling for Blood Bowl in the US? Any tips? If what about if any of our listeners want to go to the US to attend a Blood Bowl tournament? Any advice you would give an Aussie heading to the US for a tournament?
Or recommendations for a tournament. Yeah.
Okay, so there's obviously the big one, which is the Chaos Cup, which is in September time, I think, or he might have moved it now because it's in Florida. That's the big one. Easy to get to location in Orlando. Other than that, what's amazing is that you can go meet people that you've heard on the internet to go play these games. It's just really super weird. Go to Iowa City. I used to live in Iowa. Go there to the three die brawl, which is hosted by the people from Three Die Block podcast. So it's amazing. You can just go to a place and meet people that you've heard on the internet, and it's just kind of a little bit interesting to put the faces to the voices, and I will never get over that. So so that would be my recommendation, because I used to live there and I used to love Iowa. And if you are a fan of open space and cornfields, then go to Iowa. There we go.
That might be a select group.
I used to love living in Iowa. I feel all enclosed where I am now. It's surrounded by trees and hills, and
okay.
I kind of miss the open plains.
Oh, well, Matthew, thank you so much for collaborating with Down Underworld Denizens and sharing what United States Blood Bowl and Aussie Blood Bowl have in common. I'd just really like to say thank you so much for your time to come on the podcast.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
We've got one more important thing we need you to do before we finish. We have a tradition at Down Underworld Denizens that our guest commentators for the episode have to say, "That's brilliant," in their best, most enthusiastic tone or some way that emphasizes it.
Okay. All right, I'm ready. That's brilliant.
Perfect.
Oh, that is brilliant. Yes, love
it. Awesome. All right, we're done. Thank you so much for coming on.
All right, thank you.
And we're back.
So wrap up of Sunny Coast Slam. We recorded a couple of segments at our digs down in Malulabar, or as Stewie says, the Loo with the view. And now it's post-event. Yeah, tell our listeners about how we went day 2. Who wants to jump in and explain day 2, or is it up to me to lead that charge?
Oh, I think, Wilts went better than me, and I think you went better than me, so I'll go last.
Yeah, Millsy, what the heck was with that? Like, I don't know. I was having such a decent day 1, and then, somehow you rigged the draw to fight me round 4. What was the go with that?
I know. And then how many times have we practiced both of those rosters against each other over and over and over? And day 2 rocks up, and game 4. Yep, you've got Babs. Oh, great.
Yeah, which I have to say, I was a little disappointed because I'd kind of in my head gone through all the various combinations of people I could have played, and you were one I didn't think of. It was Alistair Pascoe was right up there, and then a coach I'd not seen at a tournament before, Tony, who was playing his Norse team, was up there. I was thinking, oh yeah, I could play one of these guys. And there was a Corn team up pretty high. I was thinking about I might have to get matched with, but anyway, it was Clash of Gerbil.
Clash of the Gerbil. And we might actually save that for another podcast about who you're matching up with, because Sunny Coast Slam was run via tour play. I'm yet to decipher or work out how they make their matchups. So I think another podcast we might delve a bit more in depth into how that happens. But yeah, as it was, I come up against Babs in round 4, made a tactical error, and I thought I could stall out rather than waste a reroll. I thought, I had enough.
And literally, as you stalled, it got to you. You said, "Okay," and it's your turn. I said, "Millsy, what'd you do that for?" And then went and promptly punished you.
You certainly did. So yeah, tactical error. I think in hindsight, we've both spoken about it. Like, so it ended 2-1 to you, and I managed to drag one back in the second half. But I think the score would have always been 2-1 to you, but definitely made a big mistake. And then that put me actually onto round five, last one of the tourney, and I had to face another vampire team. This time it was in the hands of Dimitri, and yeah, that was somewhat worse. So I've had all of this practice playing against vampires, and then Dimitri has this just kind of different way he does it. Does many of the things the same, but there's a few things different. And I think I've been so used to how you played them, and yeah, he actually got a 3-1 win over me. It could have been 2-2, and then with a maybe chance to him come back to 3-2, but he popped the ball out and I couldn't get it back. And yeah, so I had this after being the top ranked gerbil coach on day one, I slipped down to being the last ranked gerbil coach on after day two.
Well, that means Stewie must have done all right day two.
Well, and you know, we were singing Stewie's praises because I think it was day one that Stewie had a draw with Dimitri, and you know, telling him how good that was, and then Dimitri goes and spanks my backside. So even more props to Stewie for you know, keeping Dimitri to the draw.
On the subject of Stewie, he won both of his games on Sunday, so he's finished with 2 wins and 2 draws. That's a pretty good effort.
Yeah, he's done well. He's really coming to grips with that Necro team now, and it's almost the same roster build as Eurobowl that he's using. So, you know, the more reps he gets in, the better he's going to get at it. And yeah, he's ploughing along. So let's forget about Stewie for a sec. How did you go, Wilts?
Well, I rocked up bright and early on Sunday and faced off with our special guest commentator from the Saturday night, Renton. And I actually managed to score first and then give up the unfortunate position of he ran two more back in against me. So down 2-1 to Lizards on game four. And then I got drawn into D Maths and his goblins, and I was dreading that because he's pretty vicious with them, and I was expecting to be down players, and I was, but had a little bit of luck go my way, and had a blitz kickoff to really hammer home the win in the last two turns and come out on top.
Nice. So what was your record overall?
So it's officially my best Sunny Coast Slam result ever at 3 wins and 2 losses, whereas the last 2 years I've had 2 wins and 2 draws.
There you go. Moving up. So you're still maintaining your King of the North status with some decent tourney results there.
Well, we'll find out after Townsville about that one.
More games coming up at is it Saints Death Row 11s up in Townsville that Babs has been, my phone has been going off the hook today. I've got the day off. I'm going to Townsville. He's been pretty happy with it.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good time. Catching up with Aiden and Jason and all the other boys up there.
Yeah, so I think you two guys you're road tripping up together.
Yep.
I believe it's going to be a midnight special, possibly both
Oh.
ways, but we'll find out about that.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's going to be that bad. Maybe on the return leg, but yeah, it'll be fine on the way up. No problem at all. Yeah, so yeah, my final game I was up against a mirror like Millsy had vampires back to back, but I played the same roster twice in 2 games at the Slam because Pete Sinclair, aka Jawa Knight, and Jason Morn, aka Tiri, had identical Amazon rosters. So I felt like it was kind of second time around for me against Amazons, and of course Jawa beat me day one. So yeah, the second bite at that cherry, I still felt like it was a very difficult matchup for my vampires. All that blodge, and I didn't have much block or other skills like tackle to take down all that dodge spam. And yeah, it's actually left me thinking about whether I need to sharpen some teeth on those vampires with a slightly different skills choice. So a bit of further thought required, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes with a couple more practice games under our belt before rosters are due for Ausbowl State Champs and Greenstone Cup.
Is that a wrap on that segment?
Well, how
Or
did we finish? I ended up in seventh spot. Overall winner was Kiltane with his Chaos Dwarves winning the tournament. Second place was Tony with his Norse, wasn't it? And then third place
it
was
was.
Roy with his Shambling Undead. Fourth place was Pete Sinclair or Jara Knight with his Amazons. I finished seventh. But that makes me the fourth placed Queensland coach in seventh spot. So nice to see that the selection process seems to have played out to some degree with the final finishing at Sunny Coast Slam.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention where I finished in there, but it was a number. Let's just leave it at that.
It was a number. So what, you didn't concede?
No, look, all righty, yeah. Now, I looked at the tournament as basically 5 games of practice for the Greenstone Cup, and going into it, just looking to say, okay, if I got a loss, what was it from? Um, was it my tactics? Did I use a reroll too soon or too late, or not use one? Was it my positioning? So I've come away with a couple of key examples of mistakes that I made that I'll rectify now, and I won't do those over in New Zealand. So I'm pretty happy with the tournament results, even though the overall result in the tournament didn't come out well. It's as a practice tournament. I'm pretty impressed, and I think you guys did very similar, like going into the tournament with your tactics.
Yeah. For me, 100%. It was about getting some reps in with the team that I wanted to take to New Zealand. Although, I think the Friday night I had some practice with Dimitri that made me reconsider which skills I really want to take. So I don't know that I'm completely done and set, but I do think it was really, really helpful just to consider what the play is going to be like in ASC with the exact same rule set. So I'm really glad the Sunny Coast lads did mirror for us. That was really, really helpful. And I think, just being able to consider, all right, what do you do in this scenario? How do you play this type of team? Those kinds of considerations were really helpful to actually see play out. In one sense, I was really pleased that I finished seventh. In another, I was a little disappointed because I felt like I kind of had a couple of games that were relatively straightforward that I would have liked to have seen some more challenging faces, because I know ASC is not going to be, there's not going to be much of a cakewalk available. So, really testing your limits as a coach is going to be of most benefit. And, that's why I really appreciate all these practice games with Millsy, is I think you do give me a run for your money usually.
Usually, just not at the tournament this time.
Well, that's always the way it goes, isn't it? You do so well in the practice games, and then you rock up to the tournament and your dice let you down. You feel like you haven't done enough.
Oh, well, usually every time we have practice games leading up to a tournament, Babs like spanks my backside in the week before we go to the tournament, and then we face up at the tournament and I beat him. This time, because we've been playing so often, it wasn't a cakewalk, so I didn't make any big mistakes that I could learn from for the tournament. So that came in the tournament this time.
So is that your secret recipe? Is make mistakes early during practice games so you feel like you learn more from them?
Well, I do think learning from mistakes is a really valuable skill. If you can do that in Blood Bowl, I think it does actually pay off in the longer term.
Yeah, well, it's either that or I throw my games against Babs on the week prior, and he thinks he's got a cakewalk over me. Maybe that's what it's been. No, there's no better preparation than just playing matches, and in this case, like using the exact same rosters we've been playing and playing and playing. It's helped, or both Babs and I, exceptionally. Like our games have gotten better and better and better, and for those people listening, this may come as a complete, absolute shock and a surprise to you. But the game that Babs and I played, we actually finished ahead of time. Yes, you heard it here first, folks. Babs was not overtime on a match.
Yeah, well, I think you actually inflicting some casualties on my vampires early did assist in that achieving that goal. But actually, clock management was one of the things I really wanted to work on. And even though I say on the podcast, the pressure's off, this is just a practice tournament, I still did end up stressing Saturday night. I still ended up not sleeping as well as I would have liked on Saturday because I was still concerned. And one of the things I was concerned about is time management. So yeah, the clock is still an area where I want to get better. So again, another reason why I want to keep practice games.
And how many games did you play over the weekend using a chess clock, Babs?
All of them.
And did you run out of time in any of them?
Well, if we had let it, yes. Like we went soft at the end because we still had time on the round clock. But if we were being really hard and fast by ASC rules, yes, I would have run out of time. I got to about 3 minutes left, about turn 6 of the second half.
Yeah,
Fair
it's not
enough.
leaving much room, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not. That's one of the advantages of playing vampires is if you do lose a bunch of players, it does make your turns in the second half go a little faster. But if that doesn't happen,
Yeah, you're welcome.
you got to do that with a Dwayne Johnson, Moana.
Moana, do Maui. You're welcome.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's it. Millsy the demigod.
Yeah. I'll take that. I'll take that.
And actually, what was really interesting is that idea of its practice was adopted by our captain. Like, even though he finished lowest, he was deliberately using the Sunny Coast Slam just to kind of test edge case scenarios with his team and seeing how far he could push the team. And so while his actual results didn't look that hot, he was actually just kind of exploring the possibilities with his team choice. So yeah, it was good practice for him too, and he was quite happy with how he went because that was the plan all along, or at least that's what he tells us to save face. One of the two.
Yeah, limit testing's an important part of trying a new team that you haven't necessarily had a lot of experience with, but yeah, I can understand the concept of it.
Yeah, he always had a smile on his face every time I spoke to him about it. I said, "Oh, you're still running them? You're still running them?" He said, "Yeah." So he literally was using them as a test bed to go, what are the limits I can do with this team? What are the limits I can't do? Um, so I don't think that he was necessarily going for wins as such. He was just sort of finding out what the players on the team could do and what they couldn't do. And I think he's going to be in good stead for a great showing over there at the ASC.
Yeah, and look, while I finished fourth in the team, I feel like I, exonerated myself coming seventh overall. Pretty happy with that. And, it means that if I take that team, I know I can still do reasonably with it, but I want to have a bit more of a fiddle and see if I can even do better with a slightly different rules pack, slightly different skills pack.
Yeah, not really looking forward to the changes you've anticipated making. We'll see how we go. I was going to say, to quote Bonehead, more practice is more better.
Nice.
Okay, so we've got a quiz coming up. It's called It's a Numbers Game. We're basing this off the current edition. I need to get this quiz out now because if we do get a new edition, some of these numbers might change. So here's some numbers that I need you two lads and all of our listeners to think about. There's a total of 29 teams, which gives us 153 player types. Okay, I'll split it into three segments. The first segment is what's in a name. So, Babs, I'm going to ask you first, and then Wilkes can go either higher or lower. And based off how close you are or exact with your numbers, you'll either get 3, 2, or 1 points. Start off with question 1 for Babs. How many player types have lineman or linewoman in their name?
In the 2020 edition, how many?
In the current edition, how many have lineman or linewoman, we're gender neutral here, in their name?
I'm going to say 29. Oh, 28. 28.
28 for Babs. What's Wilkes got?
I'm going to say 30.
Wilkes has gone 30. Wilkes gets 3 points. There are actually on the undead team a zombie lineman and a skeleton lineman. So of the 29 teams, there's actually 30 player types with 30 with there's 30 player types with lineman or linewoman in the name. Okay, question two. I'll shoot this up to Wilts for question two first. How many players have thrower in their name?
I'm probably overestimating it, but I'm going to go with a guess of somewhere about 20.
I'm going to go lower. I'm going to say 16.
16 for Babs and 20 for Wilts. You're actually both way off. There's only 12 player types that have thrower in their name. I'm going to give you 1 point each for that. Babs, you'll get to answer question three first. How many have blitzer in their name?
It's going to be higher than thrower. I'm going to say 25.
25 for Babs. Wilts.
I actually think that's probably overstating it a bit. I'm going to stick with about 18.
18 for Wilts. There are a total of 15.
Ooh.
So Babs, yeah, there's only 15 with Blitzer in their name. So Babs, I'm going to give you a point. Wilts, you were fairly close. I'll give you 2 points for that. Okay, Wilts. How many player types have a one-word name?
Ooh, that's a toughie. I have to think about this one. Being that there's a few different ones where they don't actually have the race name as part of the position name. I'll give you a free one as on the Skaven team, the thrower is not actually listed as a Skaven thrower, it's just listed as thrower. I'm going to probably be underselling it, but I'm going to guess somewhere about 15.
I'm going to go lower. Yeah, I'm going to go lower because there aren't very many. They tend to have way too many words in the descriptor, like chaos, beastman, lineman. Like, you don't need that many words to describe the player. It's a bit redundant.
It's a beastman runner linesman. Thank you very much, Babs. Get it right.
Oh, sorry, chaos, beastman, runner, lineman. Well, there you go. So we've got two player types. What the hell? I'm going to say 6. Like the
Six.
Yeti. The Yeti is one I can think of.
Yep. I'm going to give both of you 0 points. It's actually 47.
What?
47 players have a one-word name.
So it's because of all the ones where they just say thrower instead of orc thrower, Skaven thrower, elf thrower. I figured it would be underselling it, but I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, a lot of those elf teams have just thrower or blitzer. So, okay. Moving on to the second segment. Time to talk teams. Babs, how many teams can have a stunty player on their roster?
Well, humans can, and orcs can. You got your 5 stunty teams. That's 7. Old World Alliance can. Underworld Denizens can. It was stunty, wasn't it? So lizard men can.
I will just point out here that you're actually giving all the answers to Wilts as well.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. Last I checked, he was my friend. That may have changed, but
Yeah, we'll see how the results go at the end.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I'm losing badly already. I've got to make some gain. So yeah, I'm going to say 10.
10 for Babs. Wilts.
I'm going to have to play the Price is Right game and go to 11.
All righty. You are both wrong, but I will give Wilts 2 points and Babs 1. There's actually
Oh
15.
no! What? Oh yeah, Black Orcs.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Yeah, there's a total of 15 teams can have a stunty player. All righty. Wilts, how many teams have a strength 2 player?
Strength 2. There will be a good number of those. I'm going to make a complete flat out guess and say about 12.
12 for Wilts.
Oh, yeah, but we already have 15 teams with a stunty. And of course,
yeah, you're absolutely right. Not all of them are strength 2, though. Some of them are strength 1.
no, they're not. No, they're not, but not many. You know, you've got ogres and snotlings have strength 1. So,
And beer balls are strength 1, so Norse get discounted.
well, yeah, I guess that's true.
But then you add in wood elf catches and human catches. So maybe it's about 13 or
Well,
14
except
then.
except you can't add humans because they're already in the stunty mix because they get halflings as well. But then
Well, I'll stick with 12 either way.
Slan get one. So I'm going to say it's going to be a similar. I'll go 16.
16 for Babs. Okay, it's
It's
actually
going
a
to be 14
total
and
of
halfway.
no, it's going to be 13. So yeah, while the ogre team and the Snotling team have a lot of strength one, you've actually got some strength two players like a slam catcher or a human catcher that are strength two without it. So Wilkes, you were closer. I'll give you 2 points and one for Babs. Okay, Babs, come on, time to redeem yourself. Question 7 for Babs. How many teams have 5 or more player types on their roster?
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Well,
So how many teams on their roster have 5 or more player types?
I'm going to say it's quite a few because they've increased the number of positionals. And while Chameleon Skinks were an addition to 2016 edition, it didn't put them over that many, 5 or more. So I don't know, maybe about half the number of teams. I'll go 15.
15 for Babs and Wilts.
I'm going to say about 20 something.
20 something? Is there a something on the end of? Okay. How many teams can have 5 or more player types on their roster? A total of 18. So Babs was closest on that. So he gets the 2 points. Wilts with his 22 got 1 point. And we move forward to question 8. And we'll go to Wilts. How many teams can have a big guy?
So there's quite a few, obviously not counting elves because they're gits anyway, but I'm going to stick with the number close to like 25.
25? Yeah. What about you, Babs?
Hmm. Well, I think I'll take a leaf out of Wilts's book and play the Price is Right and go one lower on 24.
24. That is correct. Getting yourself 3 points there, Babs. Nice work. Okay, so Wilts gets 1 point. So in that round, Wilts gets 6 points. Babs, 5, 6, 7 points. He's clawing his way back. He's only a point behind with 3 questions to go. Okay,
Oh.
our last section here. Let's add them all up. Okay, I need to make sure that I'm reading my questions here correctly, and we'll go to Babs. How many players types have stunty?
Didn't we already ask this question?
Oh, no, we asked how many teams can have a stunty player. Now I'm
Yeah, but
after
this is
how many,
so
specifically how many player types are stunty?
so there's multiple stunty players on a gnome team. There's multiple stunty players on a snotling team, for example,
Ah, of
or
course.
a goblin team. Oof. I'm going to say 23.
23 for Babs. Wilts,
I'm going to go for 30 because that sounds like a nice round number.
nice round number. Well, it is a round number. Wasn't quite 30. It's 28. 28. So give you 2 points for that, Wilts, and one for Babs. Wilts, how many big guys are there?
I'm going to stick with my guns and I'm just going to say 30 because there's a few teams that can pick from extras.
Can I just clarify? Do all the different Minotaurs count separately because they're Chaos Renegade Minotaurs or Chaos Minotaurs or...
That is correct. So yes, if you've got a Rat Ogre and then you've got the Chaos Rat Ogre, whatever he's called, yeah, they are two
The
separate
Renegade
Rat
Rat
Ogres.
Ogre and the Mutant Rat Ogre.
Yeah, that's it.
That's correct. So how many big guys in total are there?
And what did you say, Wilts? You said 30?
I said 30.
30.
Yeah, it's probably about right. I'll go a little bit under. I'll go 26.
26. That's a little bit. That's a lot under. You should have actually went for the other side because the correct answer was 34.
There we go.
Wilts gets himself 2 points for that. Babs gets one. We've got one question to go, and I think Babs, you need to get this bang on, and Wilts needs to get 0 points, and then I'm not sure how we'll go. But I got one question.
We know this is not going to happen, but anyway, I'm sorry to be anticlimactic there.
Well, Nuffle's sacred number is 11, so I know Babs usually counts up to 12 or 13 when he's playing in tournaments, but we're only going to go to we're only going to go to question 11. So Babs, how many player types are strength 3?
All right. How many player types are strength 3? Well, it's probably the biggest number. I'm just going
It
to take
is
a
the
wild
largest
stab.
number we've had.
Yeah, I'm going to say 63.
63 for Babs.
So it's averaging
What's
just over more than 2 per roster. I'm going to actually say there's going to be somewhere closer to like 90.
90. Okay, I'm going to do some maths here to work out who's further away. The correct answer is 77. I just reckon I'm going to give you a point each for that one.
Yeah.
77 player types. So Babs ends after round 3 with 13 points. And Wilts, once again, banned from any future quizzes, comes out on first place on 17.
Well, if it's in regards to the rules, it just demonstrates why he's the rules expert on this podcast.
There's a reason we have him on here.
That's exactly right.
Only the one reason, but
Settle down.
Yeah. No. So if any of our listeners out there think some of those numbers are wrong, yeah, they quite possibly can be. And I do allude to the fact that there's too many books to look through as you're doing that, and hopefully I got them all right. But and hopefully we get a new edition pretty soon, so all those numbers might change anyway. But that's our numbers game quiz for this episode.
Yeah, thanks, Millsy. Thanks for putting it together. It's some interesting questions, and most of them I just had to have wild stabs at because it's hard to tally that kind of stuff in your head quickly.
Yeah, I think there was only one question. Was the first one where Wilt's got it bang on? Was the 30? Otherwise, most of the times you were pretty good, except for your dismal question on how many player types have one word name.
Yeah, most of those player names are probably remnants from 2016. In 2020 they tended to be more descriptive with their player names. Maybe, I don't know.
Chaos, Beastman, Runner, Lineman. Like some of them have so many names in there. Halfling, Hopeful, Lineman.
I think it's definitely an area where there's some inconsistency in their naming structure. I think also some of the naming's a little unhelpful. Like, I
German,
get
if
that
it
you.
doesn't say Lineman.
Well, look, I think the Amazon team is just a little unhelpful, and I think the High Elf team potentially as well in terms of, why do you need to call them Jaguars and Pythons and whatever?
That's probably if you've got an IP that you'd like to stop people from creating miniatures that look like yours. You put the word Jaguar blocker in there and Python warrior thrower in there. So
I actually liked what the LRB did, in terms of, okay, we get rid of things like Longbeard and just call it, Dwarf Lineman. Get rid of Storm Vermin and just call it Skaven Blitzer. Like, just keep it simple. There's a bunch of rules creep that has crept into Blood Bowl, and if we're not careful, it's going to be an obstacle for new players to join the game. Like, while I don't think it's a problem for us to keep playing and have a little bit of extra complexity, there is actually a significant amount of additional complexity now. If you actually start thinking about all the things they've added to the Blood Bowl rules over the last couple of editions, it's not insignificant. So, you've got the star player special rules is the most obvious one. Then you've got these special traits like Trickster and Hit and Run and Drunkard. Then you've got the extra table of prayers to Nuffle, which everyone now thinks is stupid. Then you've got to track in league play at least every single season that the player has played. So that's another stat you've got to track. Then you've got the same skill costing different amounts. Like, it's just, there's all these little, complexity creeps. And I just think they want to be mindful of that. And I just think if you can streamline player names, it's just one less thing.
At the same time, though, Babs, you try and stop me from calling my Chaos Warrior a Chaos Warrior, then you got another thing coming to you.
Oh, look, Chaos Warrior is fine. Got no issue with that. It's if it's a Chaos Warrior blocker mutant.
what are they? The Chaos Chosen Blocker.
Chosen Blockers.
Chosen Block. Yeah, no,
To
they're
me,
Chaos
they're never
Warriors.
going to be called a Chosen Blocker. It's a Chaos Warrior.
Yeah,
if you've got a Khorne
let's-
team, you've got your Khorne Warriors. You got a Nurgle team, you got your Nurgle Warriors. I don't care what they're called on the rulebook. We all know what they are.
That's it. Beast of Nurgle for the win.
Yeah. No, but I think what you said, there's a bit of guts to that comment, Babs. That like there is this complexity creeping into the game, and for us people that have been playing it for many, many, many years, it's just okay. Well, we already know the game, we know the players, and you're just calling them a different thing. It's really easy to adapt, but if you're coming into it, um, from you've never played the game before, and then you're trying to work out what all these things are. And like we only have to look at the FAQ and the errata that keeps getting put out all the time of like how big is that document now? And the strangest thing is they went to steps in the second season edition by having these target roles. So agility was it was a 2+ target roll, or our AV was 9+. So we gave us a target roll, which kind of took away. Oh well, I used to have AV 9. That meant I had to roll a 10 and so on. So and with agility now, it's so easy to say, well, this is my target roll into the open, and then I just add things onto it. So that part has gotten easier, or yeah, probably easier for new players to get into. But just there is a level of complexity that's creeping in, and it happens with these new teams that come out that they've all got this kind of funny new little thing. And don't get me started on the star player special abilities that trigger in when this happened, but only after the third Tuesday of a second full moon when you've eaten peanut butter for breakfast. Like there's so many different things now that it's just so hard to, even for veteran players, to get their heads around.
Yeah, and I think that there is definitely a slightly more complex game now, and the counterbalance of what you're saying about the stats is now if you get a statistic change that this one goes up and this one goes down and this one goes sideways now, like agility now goes down, and yet and passing goes down, but movement goes up and strength goes up and agility, armor value goes up. So it's just, I don't know. It's just, that's the flip side is you can't call it a statistic increase anymore.
Well, you can call it an upgrade, whether it's an increase or a decrease.
Or improvement. Yeah, true.
Or an improvement. And that's like we said with the LRB days, like there was no ambiguity over the rules as written in there. Everyone knew what it meant. There was no need for, oh, does it mean this or does it? No, I think like they were really clear cut, back in the LRB days. And I think I miss those times. I do love the game we've got now that I've got my head around all of these rules, or most of them, but I would really love it if it was a more simplified, more succinct wording in all of our rules.
Well, two things anyone should be aiming for with rules as they're writing them is brevity and clarity. If you can get those two things right and explain yourself simply, you can have as much fluff as you want padding out the rulebook with background and flavor, just not in the middle of the rules themselves.
Yeah, I don't know that we're ever going to go backwards in terms of rules complexity. I mean, maybe we will. That would be lovely. But, we've already added an extra stat in the passing stat, right? So we've gone away from 4 simple statistics to describe a player. That day has gone. That ship has sailed, I think. I think it's unlikely to be rescinded now. And I think
I've got no problem with the passing stat at all. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, well, I do too. I just think it failed in execution, but I do think it does actually make something unique that a thrower brings to the game, whereas before they were pretty redundant. So yeah, I don't disagree, but I just think they want to be careful about how much extra rules creepage you've got with all these one-off special traits and all these special rules for star players, and then you've got certain categories of teams. If you're in the bribery and corruption set of teams, then you get different prices and access to different things, and there is quite a significant level of complexity increase in Blood Bowl 2020. And, for experienced gamers like ourselves, it's not a problem. But I am mindful of both younger players and inexperienced players coming to Blood Bowl. And I think it is another small hurdle they have to navigate. Well, I think it's clear that the added complexity hasn't really proven a barrier to new people joining the game because numbers of coaches everywhere is up. So it's certainly not proving an insurmountable obstacle in terms of new people joining the Blood Bowl community.
And well, a lot of those, the reason we've got so many now is you'd have to put it down to Blood Bowl 3 on, PC or Xbox or whichever version you're playing it. And a lot of those things, and we see a lot of people coming into the community that have only played online, and then they come to a tournament is usually where we see them. And there's certain things that they just don't know, and you're going, well, you're a really good player. You've been playing this game for a while, and the computer doing some of those dice rolls or working out those calculations for them without doing it in their head on the run. Sometimes it takes them a little bit longer to get their head around a tabletop game, whereas they might have been really well playing online. But yeah, when they get to tabletop and they've got to do all the maths or all the rolls themselves, sometimes that can be a hindrance.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's not the only way people are joining Blood Bowl. I think some of them are just, I've heard a couple of stories of people who have been playing some other game system and they've heard the hilarity over at the Blood Bowl table and they've wandered over like, how come these guys are having so much fun? What game is this? And they've literally shifted over from playing Mr. Super Serious Grimdark to playing Blood Bowl because you have more fun.
And stuff.
Are we gonna do any kind of wrap up of this episode?
It's win or the casualty bin. I'll get one in now.
Yeah, well, Millsy, you taught me a valuable lesson in Game 4 of the Sunny Coast Slam. Your saying is not quite correct. It's not win or the casualty bin. It's win and the casualty bin.
Or make that your sign off. This episode.
It's win it, and for Babs, it's win and the casualty bin, both.
And for Millsy, it was just the casualty bin.
And for Wilts, it's Cows undefeated, but not quite undefeated this time.
Nice. Well, you got a chance to redeem yourself in less than 2 weeks up in Townsville. All right. Well, thank you for listening to Down Underworld Denizens episode 16, and we hope you will catch us next time as we continue our adventures and maybe have an international guest speaker next episode.
A little spoiler there.
Yes, and I believe we can officially call them a GW employee.
Oh, that might narrow it down a bit.
Former.
Current. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know whether employee is the right term, but certainly does work for
contractor.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Maybe we'll have to ask them what they are.
So that will hopefully answer that question. How do you keep an idiot in suspense? And the answer is, I'll tell you tomorrow.
I want to know now. I can't wait, Babs. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you next time on episode 17. It crickets.
You're gonna put that sound in there.
I'll put the cricket sounds in there. Geese are pretty small, but they're wild little buggers, aren't they?
They're fierce. Well, it's too late now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, not gonna be able to replicate that one.
Just need to work out who wants to go first.
Yeah, I'll go first if you like. I don't care.
Age before beauty.
All right. Oh.
I lose in both cases, don't
I? This is correct. And that's making it into the podcast.
Well, statistically speaking, people that have more birthdays live longer.
I've heard that.
Down Underworld Denizens discusses games, workshops, games, and products such as Blood Bowl, Gutter Bowl, Dungeon Bowl, and Crunch. We also discuss other fantasy football board games and concepts from other companies, such as Dread Ball, Guild Ball,
Grind, Elf Ball, Myth and Goal, Blitz Bowl, Chaos Ball, Monsters of the Midway, and Feud Ball. We discuss products and services such as miniatures or software made by producers suitable for several of these board games. Games Workshop terms and conditions in point 2.1 state they grant the user the non-exclusive right to use their authorised intellectual property for broadcasting and other media-related activities such as commentary and opinion pieces, blogs, and other similar informational and descriptive purposes. Down Underworld Denizens respects and honours these terms.